have to admit I was wrong. Ronald Reagan was first, before George Bush Sr. In my mind, Ronald Reagan didn't even exist. I knew George Bush Sr. all along, even back then, that he was in control. George Bush Sr. was always in that pavilion, along with Michael Aquino, along with Fred Trump, along with Warren Buffett. You know, there was a group of them that were always there. And I thought the actor that did the stupid movie with the chimpanzee, Ronald Reagan, was a figurehead. But I was wrong. Reagan came first, which opened the door to George Bush Sr. George Bush Sr. was always in control. I mean, he was ex-head of the CIA. He knew how the real government worked. Hey, Susan. The other thing that I want to say that I was wrong about is James Franco. He's not taking Isaac Cappy's play, because now he has a new video out today. He's not talking about child trafficking. He's talking about fucking aliens from outer space. That's what he's talking about. Because today he just released a video that he went to his little shed where he paints, and there was a fucking alien there. You know? It was the dumbest fucking thing I'd ever seen in my life. They are really trying to push this whole alien thing. Aliens come to Earth, and they have nothing better to do than check out James Franco's paintings in his little shed. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so I'm, you know, Franco can't be trusted. You know, I knew he couldn't be trusted, but I thought he was trying to take Isaac Cappy's place. But he wasn't. He wasn't talking about the child trafficking. Because now he has a video today talking about fucking aliens. You know? Because they wanted to check out his paintings, I guess. You know? I didn't even watch the whole thing. I got irritated with it. I was sitting down eating lunch, fighting with Tommy Schoenberger and Johnny Dubb, who I believe is Doug Mesner. He keeps saying that he's going to show up at my house. Dude, you're not wanted at my house. You know? No, he wasn't. He always played the same role. He was always himself. And so, you know, oh shoot, hold on. The allergens in this area have been terrible. And I never used to have allergies when I was a kid. So, this is going to be short, but I know that fucking Johnny Dubb, Doug Mesner, and Tommy Schoenberger, and all of them are watching all of this right now, probably. They're probably part of the 12. There were no fucking babies murdered when I was a kid. I'm on record saying that over and over and over. There were no babies. I didn't kill anyone. And the blood ritual and all of that, I was forced to drink that shit, you know, by the weirdos. I was under the age of 10, surrounded by a bunch of fucked up adults, a bunch of men, because there were no women in that pavilion. It was all men. And so the fact that they will take my abuse as a child and just ridicule it, you know, and fuck, Thomas Schoenberger wants to fuck Gabe Hoffman. That's basically, if you go click on the link, even if you did it this morning, there's all kinds of shit added to it because they haven't stopped. But, oh my God. It was just, you know, the conversations have been bizarre. Thomas Schoenberger saying that I'm trying to be funny. And I told him, well, I don't find child trafficking and pedophilia funny. Most of you think I'm angry most of the time. So how am I angry and funny at the same time, or even trying to be funny? When have I ever made a joke out of any of this? But I just wanted to actually do a quick video, quick live, saying I was wrong. Ronald Reagan was first. And now when I started to actually think about it, it's not... First of all, I wasn't all that invested in the whole fucking thing at the time. Just like a lot of kids, people my age were not invested in politics when we were 19, 20 years old in the 80s. That's generally a new thing now. But we weren't all invested. I wasn't invested. The only reason why I was invested is because I hated George Bush Sr. You know? But Anton Scalia, he was always there too. But Dougie, you keep saying that you're untouchable. You better hope you can fucking live forever, dude. You better hope you can live forever. Because right now, because of the group that you're involved with, yeah, you're untouchable. The police aren't going to touch you. Politicians aren't going to touch you. No one's going to touch you. But fucking God is about to touch you. And I'm sorry I'm swearing, but it's been virtually impossible to get away from the irritation today. I kid you not. If you went and looked at that blog this morning, just compare what you saw this morning to compared to what it is now. You know? Because it hasn't stopped. They've been tag teaming me again. And Andy Villa is Doug, you know? And Doug, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, is involved in fucking harassing survivors and murdering them. Lori King isn't the only dead survivor that he's involved with. It's by far, he's not. Lori King isn't. There's a lot of other survivors that he's involved. You know? And so it's been an irritating day. For some reason, I just allowed myself to, because I was doing stuff, and so I was checking my emails. And, oh my God, email after email after email after email, and they're all fucked up. They're all fucked up. Doug Mesner as Johnny Dub says, I'm coming to visit you, but every time he says he's coming to visit me, he shows a picture with him holding a gun. But that doesn't matter. That picture was taken 45 years ago. But you're sending it to me now with an email saying you're going to show up at my house. See what I'm saying? You know, but they have a fucked up reason why they are justified in doing every single thing that they want to do. And that's the whole situation with that. It's just irritating. These pedophiles, and they're nonstop. Hey, Susan, thank you. I'm not staying on here long anyway. I'll probably do 10 minutes, so I have a minute left. But Ronald Reagan was first. But Ronald Reagan wasn't even Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was George Bush Sr. George Bush Sr. had control of the whole thing. You know? George Bush Sr. was in control. The ex-head of the CIA. Who do you think was in control? The ex-head of the CIA or the dude who was an actor who got famous because of a movie with a chimp? Which one do you think knew how the government worked? Which one do you think is in control? And I will point out, just so everyone knows, that, wow. Dundee's a nice area. I've always liked the houses in Dundee. Not to mention that little area of shops. Anyway, you know who has pictures with Michael Aquino? Ronald Reagan. George Bush Sr. Michael Aquino got around. If I could have afforded to live in Dundee, I would have moved to Dundee. I love those brick houses. I love those brick houses, those small brick houses, because that's most of Dundee is in that area. I I like Dundee. I don't know what it is now, but when I was a kid and younger, a young man, and living in that area, it's always been a good area. Dundee, Benson, you know, all of those old neighborhoods. Of course, they're not what they used to be, so I haven't been there in a long time, driven through there. But I will say that Dundee, I just drive through it now. There's no reason, oh, excuse me, there's no reason for me to stay. But I liked the brick houses. If I could move back to Omaha, I would. But even if I sold my house here in Harlan, I couldn't afford a shithole in a shithole neighborhood. And so I'm just going to stay where I'm at. I think we're at the end anyway. Better learn how to fucking live forever, Ducky. Because the minute after you exhale your last breath, I fucking assure you, you're going to get touched. And you ain't going to fucking like it. And you're going to get touched in a way that's never going to end. So you go ahead and dance around like a baboon in heat. Or rather, a jackal in heat. They're more like jackals than they are baboons. And so, spider monkeys are they're nicer, you know? I'm sure they're in here, 30 people. I've only been on here for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, you know? They watch everything I do. For having fucking jobs, they sure are obsessed with everything I do. You know? They're on here when I'm on here, and I don't have a job. So I just did this as a fluke, you know? But they sit around and wait for me to come on here, it seems. Michael Aquino, who I don't believe is dead. Thomas Schoenberger, Gabe Hoffman, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Craig Sawyer, Titus Frost. Then you have all of Sewertown who were all involved with when Isaac Cappy was murdered. Corey Daniel, a.k.a. Phoenix Enigma. Alicia Ray, a.k.a. the Sicilian Witch. Jesse Davis, Paula Davis. Daniel Dowd. Geo Farnsworth. Tara Joyce. Brett Trimble. Manuel Chavez, a.k.a. DeFango. There's some names, you know. Well, we're not going to get you started on lizard people because I don't believe in lizard people. I don't. I think it's conspiracy any more than I fucking believe that the earth is flat. Dumbest shit I've ever heard. That's just me, you know? Any more than I think fucking aliens are interested in James Franco's paintings in his shed. Just the dumbest fucking thing, you know? But, this whole thing today has been just dealing with these child trafficking pedophiles. Thomas Schoenberger, Doug Mesner, because I know Doug Mesner is fucking Johnny Dub. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. Johnny Dub has two names. He goes by Johnny Dub and Brian Word, so which one fucking is it? You know? The dude thinks he's Legion, because he is many. You know? Johnny Dub, Brian Word, John Kilrush, Andy Villa. He has a zillion aliases in real life. Doug Masenko, Doug Mesner, Lucian Greaves. There's 3 right there for you. And those are all public. The dude thinks he's Legion. And they hide behind these fucking email accounts, laughing because they think, oh, well, no one can figure us out, you know? Dude, the nerves in my teeth are dying. That's what's causing the discoloration. Because I have really bad TMJ. Because I never got braces when I was a kid. So now I'm killing the nerves by biting down so hard all the time, especially in my sleep. That's what is fucking my teeth up. What is their issue with me? First of all, I'm trying to expose the whole murder of Isaac Cappy. And second of all, I'm doing exactly what Isaac and I were doing before he got murdered. Trying to expose this neo-Nazi pedophile operation. The shit that was going on with Jeffrey Epstein, that's where they're doing the same thing. It's not like it just stopped with Jeffrey Epstein. It's not like it just started with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is the group that's continuing on with this. And every single person, Isaac was involved with every fucking one of them. Every fucking one of them, and ended up murdered. Tracy Twyman got involved with it, ended up murdered. They make threats on me all goddamn day. You know? And so Kushner is going to find himself ripped to pieces along with his wife. You know? They're going to rip them. The Albanians don't work the same way we do. They don't work the same way we do. So go ahead. Go take their pristine island. But they ain't going to let you do what you want to do. You know? And that little prime minister dude who was the one who made the deal with them, he's going to have to worry about them ripping him out of his house too. Because in the end, that's what's going to happen. That's what happens with every revolution. Revolutions. They rip the leaders out of their houses. Look at what happened to Mussolini. Revolutions all happen the same. They think their money protects them. When really, when it comes down to it, people are so fucking sick of these rich assholes that it puts a target on their back. You know? It might not be eat the rich, but I have a feeling it's coming down to kill the rich. You know there are crazy people out there. All I'm begging all of you to is don't get involved with that. It's going to happen. We're in the time of sorrows. Great chaos comes. The whole key is to not get caught up and lose your soul in that chaos. I haven't, Jonathan. I haven't looked into that Jamie Epstein. And so, I wouldn't call the people crazy. What I'm going to call them is angry. Anger is starting to take over the world. Anger is going to start taking over the world. And Trump, when Trump goes, and it's close to it, when he goes, all those people that are surrounding him will not have the magic that Donald Trump has. And they're going to get targeted. They are. Well, stay away from the Trump regime. Stay away from the Democrats, too. They all kind of suck. They all do. They're all rich. They don't give a shit about the poor people. It's fine to look at us as cattle, but cattle can't do anything. Human beings are capable of the worst shit and the most amazing stuff. But, well, if you're new to Earth, then you need to go find a therapist. That's what I suggest. If you're new to the Earth, you need to go find a therapist. Because there's something wrong up there. Anyway, that's this live. I'm only going to stay on for another 30 seconds. I was wrong about Ronald Reagan, but George Bush Sr. was in the pavilion. I believe he was in control of Ronald Reagan. They were all connected to... I never saw Ronald Reagan in the pavilion. I don't remember ever seeing Ronald Reagan in the pavilion when I was a kid. So there's that too. You know? Saw George Bush Sr., saw Fred Trump, Anton Scalia, Michael Aquino, Warren Buffett, a lot of people from Omaha, P.J. Morgan, Willie Thiessen, you know, saw those people. Never saw Ronald Reagan. Even when I was but I was only at the Bohemian Grove 3 times, and I was just a little kid. I'm gonna be 60 this year, you know. But yeah, he got Tracy Twyman to take all of her stuff offline. That's what they did to Lori King. Got her to take all of her stuff offline, and then they fucking killed him. That's what ends up happening. Then they killed him. That's the reason why Dougie offering me $15,000 to take down my blog. Yeah, because I'm so interested in signing my death warrant. You better hope you can fucking live forever, dickhead. If you can't, you're gonna get touched. And all I give a shit about is in the end, you remember 4 fucking little words. I told you so. That's all I want. Dance around like the Jacqueline Heath that you are. Fuck everything. You know? Because you guys are real good at that. But the moment after you exhale your last breath, you're fucked. You're fucked. You better figure out a way out of it now. Because you wait till after your last breath. I assure you it will be too late. But as it is, it's too late. So, okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I just wanted to go on record and say, I was wrong about Ronald Reagan. He was first before George Bush Sr. And James Franco's little videos are all about fucking aliens. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I apologize for bringing it to people's attention. Because this morning I felt like, after I found out how wrong I was on those 2 things, I felt like a dumbass. And I don't like to feel like a dumbass. So I wanted to come here and just tell everybody, hey. And as you can see, I shaved. Because they were bitching at me about it this morning. Oh, you have scruffle on your face, you know? So, but I've mentioned names. It's the same names I always mention. And, Tommy, I don't find anything about this child trafficking fucking pedophile shit funny in the fucking least. And the fact that your dumbass fucking does says so much about you. I didn't think you could disgust me anymore. Boy, I was wrong about that too. You know? Was wrong about that. And I know you're fucking watching. Better hope you can live forever. Because after you take your last breath, you're fucked. And it's in my best interest that you don't believe it right now. Because you'll never do what you can have to do to escape it. And I fucking want you claimed.